Hello, everybody. This is Myra here with our special guest, Sabine Durden Coulter. Hi,
Yes.
Sabine. How are you doing?
Hi, Myra. I'm doing well. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Thank you so much for taking the time to be here with us and sharing your story with us. Sabine is with Aviac. She's an angel mom. She's going to tell us a story about the time that she lost her son, Dominic. I'll let go ahead. I let Sabine take over from here. That way we can know more about her son and her journey and her advocacy and activism in this cause.
Well, I'm a legal immigrant from Germany. I had Dominic 1982. He was born in Germany, same hospital as I was born in. And for 10 years, we were stationed living in Germany around my family. My ex-husband, Dominic's dad, was in the army. Dominic spoke fluent German, fluent English, and he already showed early on that he was that kind of guy that he wanted to sit with the snotty-nosed kids and the lonely kids. And he always showed that social side, always helping, and really sweet kid, sweet kid. Nothing like his mama was when she was little. And he was 10 years old when we left Germany to move to Fort Hood, Texas. Um, no, California, not Fort Hood, Texas, California,
Mhm.
Fort Irving, California, because we had orders from the military. So I had to prepare, even being married to a military member, fill out paperwork and have a sponsor, have money. And I had to sign paperwork that I would never receive any social services from the United States of America because I wasn't a citizen. And I received
Mhm.
my alien, my alien residential alien card.
The residence card. Yes, I
Yes,
had one of those.
yes,
Yes.
yes, as my ID card, and I was fine with it because I
Mhm.
was not a citizen. So we moved to California, and Dominic, he was thriving, going to school and started to volunteer. And it took me 6 years. I became a citizen. I was sworn in Los Angeles in the convention center, and I was so proud. I still have that little flag that they
It's
had.
such a proud moment
It is, and
becoming a citizen.
Myra, I still remember, and it was 1996. I still remember when I was told by the mayor of LA back then that you should be so proud you were not born an American, but you chose to become an American.
Mhm.
And that stuck with me. And I still feel that pride about the flag. Matter of fact, the flag behind me was flown over the Capitol in DC on Dominic's birthday last year, January 22nd, in his honor. And so
Oh.
I'm very proud of the flag. So anyway, Dominic grew up and he became a volunteer for the city. Um, Volunteer of the Year in 2004 because he gave over 1,000 hours of his free time to help out. He worked as a volunteer in the fire department, and his love always was either fire department, police, and pilot. He wanted to become a pilot, which he eventually did. Dominic's dad and I got divorced, and Dominic and I stayed in the house, so we became housemates, which was
Hmm.
perfect because we were best of friends. Uh, a lot of times people said, I wish I had that relationship with my child like you and Dominic had. We were just each other's best friend. I treated him with respect. It wasn't, well, you do as I say. It was very unique and strong. And we rode our motorcycles together and we went on vacations together. But we still each had a private life where he hung out with his friends and I hung out with mine. But we always enjoyed time together. And in his 30 years of life, that I was so blessed to have him for 30 years, we were only separated for 2 weeks. When he went to Germany by himself to visit family, his grandma, grandpa, and my sister.
Mhm.
And it was just such a joy to be Dom's mom. And that's what I'm known as now, Dom's mom. And
Mhm.
we pranked each other. We tried to out prank each other. His laughter would have everybody roaring. he never met a stranger. He would always, people would still, they still 9 years later talk about him, celebrate his birthday, and share with their kids who Uncle Don was. So he excelled in school. He was a 4.0 student. He worked as a volunteer for the city of Moreno Valley, California, where we ended up living. And then he started loving law enforcement. So he became
Mm-hmm.
a 911 dispatcher for the Riverside Sheriff's Department. And while he was doing that, and one of the best in the field, as they told me, he saved many officers and lives just by being that calm voice on the other line of when you frantically call for 911. He studied to become a motorcycle cop, to ride with his best friend, because all his friends now were fire department, SWAT, sheriff, police,
Mm-hmm.
and so forth. And then he told me one day, he came home, he said, Mom, you got to go to the DMV. You got to go with me to get my license. I looked at him, I said, I'm not going to stand in line at the DMV for 2 hours. He said, no, just trust me, come with me. I went with him, and we went to the little airport in Riverside where he got his pilot's license. So while his dad and I went through a pretty ugly divorce, he figured, oh, I'm checking out, I'm going to become a pilot. He studied for that
Mm-hmm.
and took me out on his first solo flight. And him and I sat in that little cockpit, and he dropped the plane and scared me to death. Um, and then he kept telling me, he said, I'd like to get my own place someday, and I don't really want to keep this house, and you go meet somebody. And I met Anthony, who's now my husband. Anthony and
Mm-hmm.
I met on eHarmony, and
Oh wow.
yes, it happens.
It
It
happened. Oh wow.
and it's been 12 years now. We only been
Mm-hmm.
married 2 years because we got married on our 10-year
Yes. I
anniversary.
remember seeing your wedding on Facebook. The pictures
Yeah,
were beautiful.
we went
Yes.
on a cruise and got married in Barbados. But Anthony met Dominic, and Dominic immediately knew this was the man. This was the guy. And they had so much respect for each other and love. And they were best of friends because Anthony and Dominic, they would be in the garage fixing motorcycles and cleaning them. And the three of us would go on a ride. And we went on flights with Dominic.
Mm-hmm.
Our future just looked great. And Dominic told me, you're going to marry this man. And I said, yeah, I'm not getting married again. No, sadly, he couldn't walk me down the aisle. But um, life was good, and my future looked good. His future looked brilliant, and he had plans to
Mm-hmm.
Europe to go visit family. And on July 12th, 2012, right after he had dropped us off at the airport in Ontario to fly to Atlanta for a family reunion, he couldn't come with us. He had to work. We arrived in the morning, early in the morning in Atlanta, and we didn't want to bother family, so we went to have breakfast. And we left the breakfast place. It was, I think, a Waffle House. And we're walking to the rental car, and all of a sudden, it felt like somebody unplugged me, and I dropped. I just dropped. And Anthony came running around the car and wondering what happened, and I could barely keep my eyes open. Well, later on, I learned that at 5:45 a.m., as Dominic was on his way to work, this illegal alien with 2 felonies, 2 DUIs that they always let him go for, turned his truck in front of Dominic's motorcycle as he was heading to work and hit him so hard it killed him instantly. And that connection between a mother and a child stays. But that moment, I felt something happen. I just thank God didn't know what it was. So Anthony took me to the house of his cousin, and I laid down, and my phone kept buzzing. And I believe in God. I
Mm-hmm.
believe God's giving me the strength to keep doing this. And God knew I couldn't listen to the voicemail, because if I would have heard on a voicemail that my child was killed, I would have grabbed that rental car and drove it off a cliff somewhere. So I knew something happened. I tried to listen to the voicemail. It wouldn't let me. And I started getting real nervous. I'm running through a house, a huge house, I remember. I've never been to, trying to find Anthony. And I'm running into a room where he was what they had a big screen, like a movie room. And I'm running towards Anthony, and he says it still haunts him. The look on my face, my eyes this big and full of fear. I said, something happened to Dominic. And we called dispatch, and everybody dispatch knew me as Dom's mom. They would come to the house, hang out. They were friends. And the young lady that answered, she could barely talk. She said, can you, and she's stammering. She said, I need you to talk to the chief. And I said, just let me talk to Dominic. What's wrong? Is he in a body cast? Did he crash his bike? And she just barely spoke. So the chief came on, and you know how in movies you watch when somebody says, I'm so sorry, ma'am, but your so-and-so got killed. That still runs in front of my face, in my mind constantly. That moment when I heard that Dominic was killed, and I just Anthony and I screamed. We dropped to the floor. I hung up because I said, that can't be true. If he's pranking me, I'm going to hurt him when I get back. They called back. It wasn't a prank. So they said, yeah, he was killed on his way to work. All I knew at that moment, it was an accident. Accidents happen. So we rushed back to California. His best friends picked us up at the airport, where I passed out when I saw him, because that made it real. Because I still thought he was going to be there and just say, yeah, I got you, prank. And I needed to go by the spot where he was killed, just to make sure it's not a dream. It really happened, and it didn't make sense. And every day I would be at the spot, and his friends, there were hundreds of people there every day with candles. And one day, one of the officers who was the first one on the scene whispered in my ear. He said, you need to ask the DA to stop lying to you. Because so far I was just told this was an accident. The guy turned his truck in front of Dominic and he died instantly. He didn't suffer. But then I find out it was an illegal with 2 felonies: armed robbery, grand theft, 1 deportation. He comes back. He drives drunk without a license. They give him probation in Riverside County, which was a sanctuary city before they named him that. But quacks like a duck, walks like a duck. And the DA just gave us the runaround. So the guy had 2 DUIs. The second DUI he had while probation for the first one, they let him go again, and 5 weeks later, he killed Dominic while he was right underneath that legal being drunk limit DUI. And he was charged with a misdemeanor vehicular manslaughter without gross negligence, which I never understood. The DA never really explained it. They talk to you like you stupid, and talk in a way that you don't understand. You're going through the grief. You don't even know what to ask. You trust them. The guy said, we're going to do right by Dominic. Let's not go to trial. And I'm okay. And then the judge knew the defendant. He knew the killer. He's been in his court before. And the judge tells us if he would have known more about this guy, he wouldn't have made a deal with him about the misdemeanor if he pleads guilty. And he got to keep his word. Now we started looking around thinking, is this a prank? You have to keep your word to an illegal alien who just killed a citizen? Well, he did, and he gave him 9 months and 5-year probation. And that's when, in that time, I learned to get loud and talk about it and finding out things, because it's all new. You have no idea what's happening to you. The news started coming around a little bit, but once I started talking about that it was an illegal, wow, they were gone real quick. They just stopped.
They didn't want to report it anymore.
No, they wanted me to talk about that Dominic was killed in an accident. And I said, it wasn't an accident. Because if that guy wasn't in this country to begin with, you and I wouldn't even speak. I would enjoy my son. I would enjoy watching him have grandkids for me and be that helicopter pilot he wanted to be for the sheriff's department. But
And
the media,
yeah,
yes,
and it wasn't only that, I mean, he was an illegal, he shouldn't have been here, but he
right.
also had all this record. He had a rap sheet.
Yeah. And they still made sure he was okay because during the time, the hearing, he would not, okay, of course, he couldn't speak English. That's normal. So we had to have special translator. Then when the translator couldn't make it, then we had to postpone. So it was dragging out. And all of a sudden, Anthony took me out of town because I went to the spot where Dominic lay dead every day. And I didn't realize it, but it was killing me. It was killing me inside. And he said, I need to take you away for a few days just to get a break. So we went to Santa Barbara and we're walking on the pier. His phone rings and he's acting real weird. Now him and I have a connection that started the minute we met. So I knew something was strange. I said, what's going on? He said, oh, nothing. Just don't go on Facebook today. Like, okay, now I really want to go on Facebook. What's going on? And he said, well, the guy was released. I said, what you mean? Who? He said, the killer of Dominic was released on $10,000 cash bond. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't have $10,000 cash laying around if I should get arrested for drunk driving. They let an illegal alien with 2 felonies, 2 DUIs, walk free out of a jail because he deposited $10,000. So we went straight home, and I just knew we would never see him again for the next hearing. The guy was so arrogant, like a lot of illegals are now. They know there are no consequences for their actions. They're no longer in the shadows. He came to court. He showed up because he knew he would get away with it again. And we had 4 victim impact statements. The whole courtroom was crying. I begged the judge to give this guy 365 days. That was the maximum that they could give him for a misdemeanor, which now I know would have meant he would have been immediately deported. The judge said he gave his word. He's going to do the 9 months, and that's that. The guy also stood in front of the judge when the judge asked if he had anything to say, and I needed to hear, I'm sorry. I knew the guy didn't get up and didn't set out to kill Dominic. But the end result is the same. My son is gone. He was ripped out of a full life. His dreams were crushed. And the guy stood in front of the judge with his hands in prayer and said, God gives life, God takes life. I was only on my way to work. And I think that was the time I started sliding off the bench, passing out. They dragged me out. And sometimes it still flashes in front of my head, just like the accident scene, or when I had to go to the morgue to touch my child for the last time. And I don't like to shock people, but maybe sometimes people need that. This was the last time I got to touch my child in the morgue. That's his dead body, his bruised hands, and my hand right there on top. Dominic and I had talked about cremation when I crashed my motorcycle real bad. So back then he told me he would like to be cremated. So I always have his ashes, not just in a little locket I wear around my neck all the time. But this goes with me. It's been to the White House. It's been everywhere. And so my life stopped. His life stopped. And this illegal gets to spend 35 days in jail. 35 days. Not 9 months.
Not the 9 months?
Nope. 35 days. After 35 days, they let him go, but then they picked him up and took him to a immigration detention center in Adelanto, California, which is in the desert, high desert. The DA wouldn't tell me where the killer of my son was. That's another thing. These guys have more rights than we do.
Mm-hmm.
I said, I can't harm him. He's locked up. If I wanted to harm him, I would have done that during the court hearing. But they wouldn't tell me. So a friend of mine knows an ICE agent, and he made some calls. And this ICE agent calls me, and he says, I can't give you my name. I can't tell you who I am or where I'm at. But we heard about Dominic, and many of us knew him from friends of his sheriffs, and so it's a clique. It's a big circle of
The
like
Leos, the law enforcement know each other.
right.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I'm wearing this
The
hat.
first responders.
Yeah. And he said, well, the guy is in Adelanto, and you need to go out there just so they can see you. They know you. So Anthony and I drove. It was an hour drive to the desert. Every week, we would sit in the front room, in the reception room of that detention center, to let them know we're not going anywhere. I'm not going to be quiet. He will know I'm here, and I don't want him to disappear, because now we made friends with an ICE agent there who ironically had the same name as Dominic's dog, Cyrus, which is a unique name. Dominic had this dog he rescued from the pound, and he named him Cyrus. And the agent's name was Cyrus. And it was like, wow. And there are a lot of incidents where I know my son was around. But anyway, this guy said, I'm going to make sure he doesn't get released. I said, what do you mean released? He's in here. He said, yeah, but sometimes we get a note from the top says, open the back door. I had no idea.
Wow.
So the Adelanto Detention Center, which looks more like Club Med, with phone banks and soccer field in the back and meals and everything, they would have let this guy go. They get overcrowded and they open the back door. But the killer of Dominic, it took us a year and a half. Finally, we got a call from that agent Cyrus. And he told me, he said, I'm on the way to the airport right now. We're putting him on a plane. He's going back to Guatemala. Well, he went back to Guatemala. And right now, with all the people I know and the connections I have, we believe he's back in Riverside. That's where his family is at. And every day when I hear the news, I'm so afraid one day I'll see a picture of that face with a mole right here. I never forget the face. And hearing of another victim of his, because he didn't care. He didn't learn. He didn't have remorse. He was going to continue to do the same thing as he always did because he got away with it. So that was that. He was deported, and friends started fading, and people didn't like for me to talk about my son. You know, they get to talk about grandkids and their kids and weddings and babies and I don't have that. My mission now became to make sure that this guy will never be forgotten, that his legacy continues through me, and my love for him hasn't stopped because he's not physically around. He makes sure I know he's around many different ways. So I became more outspoken, and people don't like when you use the word illegal alien.
No, they don't.
No, they really don't. They shy away. Or I get called racist, and I would just look at him and shake my head. Really? I'm married to a black guy. This is my son. Yeah, I'm a racist. Well, whatever. I'm not going to stop. But
And that's what they always throw around. And I've met a lot of angel families myself with Latinos for Trump, supporting the president, just because of our views and our conservatism and the need for strong borders and wanting legal immigration instead of illegal immigration, trying to get people to come here legally. That way they can stay here legally and
know who they are.
not get abused. Yes, because the system abuses illegal aliens anyways. I mean, why would you want that if you're so into the humanitarian issue? But the thing is that because of our stance, we always get called the racist card.
Yeah, and it's a way I learned real quick. At first I defended it, and then I said, why even bother and waste that breath? I'm not. I'm not that. I'm not a Nazi because I was born in Germany. I'm not a Ku Klux Klan member because I live in
Mhm.
Arkansas now. No, I just believe in, like, I did it the right way, and to come to follow the legal immigration path protects people on both sides. I don't
Mhm.
want women and children to get raped on their way over here. I don't want them to be in prostitution for the rest of their life because
The
they're over
children.
hell.
Yes, the
I
children
would,
get reused and trafficked and
yes,
sold.
I don't want that. I don't want young boys to now have to work for the cartels bringing in drugs.
Mhm.
No, I don't want that. And I don't want any other American family to know this kind of pain because it's 100% preventable. My son
Mhm.
didn't have to die. He wasn't sick. He didn't have cancer. He did not have to die on that day. It was 100% preventable. So, like you said, we want the legal system. We want him to come in the right way. But when you talk about it, it's always a stark opposite. Either you
Mhm.
are for it or against it. No, there's a middle ground.
There is a middle ground, and they don't want to see the middle ground.
No,
Yes.
they rather fight and lie about it. But I started to become really depressed because people, friends of mine started disappearing. You find out your good friends when they stick around when you are
Mhm.
on the bottom of the ground.
When you're at your worst, that's when you know.
And you just look like crap because you cried for days and you can barely think straight. But despite having that beautiful man around me, Anthony, who just he used to live in San Diego when we were dating. He came out, stayed in Marina, 90 miles. He would go to work every day from my home to his job, come back. He was just on the road worrying about me. And I knew he had my back. He was my strength, but I couldn't deal with not being around my best friend.
Yeah.
I missed everything about him, and I started thinking about suicide. And I had a plan. I knew exactly how I would end my life to make it look like an accident. And so Anthony could have my life insurance. That poor man had no idea what I had planned. And remember that day Donald Trump came down the escalator and
Mhm.
nobody knew what he was up to? I walked through my living room and my TV was on. I wasn't in politics. I just wasn't. And I see him come down the escalator with Melania, and I'm thinking, oh, is he doing another apprentice show or something? And he gets in front of the flags and he talks about he's running for president. I was like, oh, wow, that's something. And then he mentioned illegal immigration. Myra, that's when I lost it. I broke down. I looked up and I said, God, you knew I needed to hear this. And that stopped me from taking my life. And I told candidate Trump that. And later, when I visited him in the White House, he saved my life that day. He didn't even know. And I just knew, and I talked to God. I talked to Dominic. I said, I know there's something bigger. Why I heard that? I stopped everything in motion. I had no idea that I would get a call to be a guest speaker at the RNC in Cleveland.
Mm.
I used to hate speaking like this into a microphone publicly. I would freeze up. I would forget my English. I would stammer in German. I met Donald Trump, the candidate in LA. I got a call. Well, matter of fact, that happened before the
Mhm.
RNC. I got a call from the campaign that Donald Trump would like to meet me in LA. And I thought it was one of Dominic's friends pranking me. And I hung up. I'm so glad they called me back.
I think when they're doing those calls, they're kind of used to people not believing it.
Yeah,
So.
it's just not, that wasn't even on my bucket list. I had no clue. I was just in
Mhm.
awe of what he was doing and that he finally said those words about illegal immigration that nobody else did. Nobody else. No other candidate. So
Mhm.
we met in LA at the Beverly Hills Hotel where they filmed Pretty Woman. And there were a few other angel moms and dads with me. And we're sitting in a room with a large table, and the double doors open up, and it's really, it was weird. Anyway, the doors open up, and it's like this light comes on, and it was like, oh, and he's like floating, this big guy just floating in the room. That's the presence he has. He's larger than life, even before he was president. And he comes in, and we're all just standing there looking at like he's a ghost. So he makes his round. He sits at the end of the table. And all I remember is there was no bodyguard. There was nobody but him and us. And he asked each of us to share with him what happened. And you know, when you meet people, Myra, some people, they look at you and then they start looking past you while you talk, because they're already looking for the next person to talk.
Yeah, they lose focus, trying to, get ready for the next.
Exactly. Like, yeah, she's not that important anymore. Let me find somebody better. Not this man.
And I hear this from you, and I don't mean to interrupt so much, but I also heard it from Juanita Broderick when he met with those rape victims from Bill Clinton.
Yes.
He listened to every one of those women without looking past them and giving them the attention that they never had.
Yes. Matter of fact, Juanita Broderick and I, we're from the same state, and we met in Little Rock.
Oh, I love Juanita. She's one of my favorites. We've had her in 2 conferences, and I love her. Yes, we always share grand story kids, because I'm a grandmother, she's a grandmother, and we talk about it.
Uh-oh, you got your babies there.
Yes.
Oh.
Let me just read this quick message from Jade. Oh man, my heart hurts bad right now. She's one of our Eddie de los Santos. I'm very sorry for your loss. Such a tragic story.
Oh, thank you.
Charky
helps.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah. Sorry for your loss, Mom, says Charky. See, Irene, so sorry for your loss, Mom.
Thank you. That means
Oscar Gracias. Just saying hi, Ms. Myra and Ms. Sabine. Hi, Oscar. Thank you for joining us.
Oh,
Ms. Sabine, I lived in Germany for 8 years. Sorry for your loss.
Oh my
He's a military. He's a military veteran.
They had a lot of military. Nuremberg was my hometown. Nuremberg.
Oh, yeah. Rosie Ibanez. Do you know hashtag Dom Hugs, my friend?
I know.
Hey, Rosie.
She looks familiar.
I think she's here from McAllen. You might have met her on your visit.
I was at an event in McAllen when I did the border tour. And I think, yes, Rosie. Yes, of course. And Rosie made me some beautiful T-shirts with Dom Hugs on them.
Oh,
but I gained a few Rona pounds, so they're a little. But this is what helps. This is what gets us going and helping, and with candidate Trump speaking to us and paying attention. And then he says, okay, so the media, I hear from all of you, the media doesn't want to listen to you. I said, no, they don't call us, they ignore us, all that. Okay, he said, I'm going to change that. Come with me. So we're now walking behind this giant of a man into another room where there was stacked media. The whole room was full of media, and all you could hear was click, 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 all these cameras. I'm deathly afraid at that moment still to talk into a microphone. So he talks to them. We stand behind him. He talks to them and tells them, now you have to listen. And he pats me on the back and says, go ahead, honey, tell your story. I'm like, what? And I'm in front of this microphone, and I swear on my son, I felt his hands on my shoulder. And he whispered in my ear, Mom, you got this, now or never. And I shared Dominic's story. And that was the beginning of me talking publicly, because right after we shared our stories, each of us, on the way out, I get a call from no other than CNN. At that time, I didn't know about Fox and CNN and MSNBC. I had no idea.
The news was the news back then. That's all you knew.
Yeah, I had no idea how different they are. One leans left, one leans right, one tells the truth, one tells a little bit more of the truth, one lies more than the other. But CNN picked me up the next day, which was the day before Dominic's anniversary, which I called it July 12th. It was July 12th, 2015, I believe. And I would have an open house, have all the Dominic's friends there. The street would be full of fire trucks and police cars, and I would just feed them all day. The kids would come and play in the pool and play with Dominic's Legos. So I was busy cooking and doing it when CNN said, okay, we want you on there. Okay. So I went and did my first interview and realized I have to do this. I can't be shy. I can't just clam up and forget how to speak. I'm just going to have to do this. But I still remember it was Poppy Harlow. She had this little snarky attitude about her. And then I got another interview by CNN. It was 2 in 9 years. What's her name? She has that resting bee IT face. So always no. That's where I learned that expression, because I would talk with my face and I would roll my eyes when I'm on some interview and there was somebody saying something stupid. I would just go, oh, which didn't look so good on the interview. So I learned from her the resting face. But they always try to trick me into, like, one of them said, so do you really think Donald Trump will build a wall? I said, yeah, he will. She had that strange look again. I said, well, he's building skyscrapers. You think he can't build a wall? Really? So, and then I got on Fox with Hannity and so forth, and I could feel the difference. They wanted to hear about Dominic. They showed his pictures. They wanted me to send pictures. And then I got a call to come to the RNC in Cleveland and be a guest speaker. And then I met politicians, and we formed AVIAC, Advocates for Victims of Illegal Alien Crime, and we go to DC to knock on the doors of senators to bring awareness and talk to them, let them see our faces, and then go to the White House, get an invite. Can you be at the White House tomorrow? I'm like, what? So, yeah, standing next to the president,
Did CNN ever show the pictures of Dominic when you had interviews with him?
Showed one, at least. I believe so. I haven't looked at any past interviews. Some of the stuff is on domhugs.com. If people want to look it up, there are all the interviews and things I've done. But they weren't really, I figured, the feeling I got was they didn't really want to know my story. They didn't want to hear about Dominic. They wanted me to say something ugly about Trump. And that wasn't going to happen. The man saved my life, and he gave my son a voice that nobody else did. So there was no way, they can't trick me because he's just a good guy. And whether you like him, how he acts, how he talks, it doesn't matter. But now, in comparison,
he gets the job done.
Yes, I don't care
what matters.
Or how he calls somebody. He had me rolling my eyes back a few times, and I'm thinking, oh man, why did he say that?
You kind of like, don't say that, but
just don't.
Rosie says new shipment will be sent soon.
Oh, Rosie, you're so sweet. I'm not a 10th size yet. It's more like an extra large.
I don't think you're an extra. I saw you. You're not an extra large, Sabine.
Well, we've been in lockdown or home. Plus, we were snowed in for about a week.
Oh gosh, that's true. We were snowed in Texas. Irene says, I'm not a Trump supporter, but I'm glad he was there to change your heart and mind. This world needs to hear your story. Thank you, Irene.
Irene, that means more than you could know, because first of all, it takes a strong woman to say that to another woman. And if you're not a Trump supporter, it's easy to dismiss all that. But to appreciate that he gave a mom who's lost the best gift we ever get, that takes it. So from my heart, I thank you. Yeah.
This is what I was telling you earlier. We have different perspectives on this show. We have, the left and we have the right. And Irene and I don't see eye to eye. She's one of our viewers, but I love it when she's on the show because it's a difference of opinions, but we're able to discuss. We're
Yes,
able to discuss, and that's a great thing about it.
it's a wonderful thing. And
Hmm.
we need more Irenes, because you can have a different opinion. You don't have to agree with anybody, but you
Hmm.
can keep it civil, and we can talk. And then we can walk away still holding on to our beliefs, but it's not a
Yes.
bloodbath and where
Hmm.
you call each other names, because I'm not going to that level. I could, because then I could claim, well, I had a moment, I blacked out. No, I'm not I'm not going to that level. I respect my son too much, or myself and my husband, to do
Hmm.
that. So, but I appreciate anybody who can share. No, I'm
Yes.
not feeling that. Well, let me share with you why
We
you
learn
might.
more from each other that
Yes,
way.
and I want to
Uh,
learn. I
And I think we take something away from it. We might not agree, but we take something away
yeah,
from it. And that's the best thing that can
I
happen.
I believe that 100%.
Oh,
Absolutely.
this is Kevin. He's actually from Pennsylvania. He says, sorry for your loss. Good to hear there are still people fighting on your side.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Yes, we still have a few people. I've learned in in those 9 years being in DC and talking to a lot of people and being at events. There are a lot of people who do a lot
Hmm.
of this, and
Hmm.
words don't mean nothing. Your actions mean more to me. You can tell me you love me, and then you beat me up after I say it, but you tell me you love me. Um, there are a lot of people who are out there that doing things for financial gain, for
Hmm.
they want to become internet sensei. I don't know what it is.
Yes. And
Yeah,
that's what I noticed. You and I have been on the this movement and trying to tell stories and trying to be out there. But there was a lot of people trying to use the Trump name to become a
yes,
sensation on
yes.
Facebook or Instagram or something. And yes, to
So
capitalize on it. To capitalize on it. And it's not about that. It's about trying to move our country forward, trying
yeah,
to make a change and with the stories or anything that you have to show people the impact that illegal immigration has, the impact,
yes,
with building the wall and securing our borders, what it'll do for all those children that are being trafficked, that are being
yes,
used, and the people that live here as well. It's a
yes,
win, like you said, it's a win-win situation for both sides. And our
right.
border patrol. Hmm.
Yeah, and it's a serious business. And people ask me why I didn't do Dom Hugs as as an organization, so I could take the donation. I never wanted that. That's why I kept it just
Hmm.
as my personal website to share what I do, to share my interviews, to share about Dominic.
Hmm.
I never wanted to make money off it. I've never gotten paid for an interview.
Hmm.
If I travel, if I get invited to, like I went to Amfest where we saw each other,
Yes.
they compensate my room, my flight,
Hmm.
but I don't get paid to speak. It's my honor. It's a joy to talk about my child and to share with the world that we need to open our eyes a little bit wider and listen a little closer, because I don't want any one of your listeners or anybody out there to ever have to walk into a morgue and stand there as they roll your child or your loved one out, and you touch cold hands and you kiss a cold forehead. I don't want nobody to ever go through that because we didn't talk about it.
Yes.
And we
And I,
have,
and I've told Chris Odette and I've told Judy and Marine, and I wish I've never met you
yes,
because the reason I've met you, the reason we are here telling your story is because it happened, because you lost your son. And that is the biggest pain that can go, for a mother or a father.
and
And I heard it from my mom. It's
imagine,
very painful.
yeah, no, you can't imagine. And I
Mm-mm.
never want you to imagine, because as a parent, your mind stops at the time where your child gets hurt or was in an accident, you're in a hospital.
Mm-hmm.
It can go to that point where you have your last kiss, your last touch, you see him for the last time
And
alive
not
or
know.
dead.
Yeah. Not knowing that was going to be the last.
Yeah, exactly. And so it's the nightmare of every parent. And then when it can be prevented, And that's why I appreciate you so much. You never stopped. I've heard about you before we even met. And I heard about,
Thank you.
you can talk to Myra because she's not in it for fame or money or donations. And that's why I started become, it's not snobby, but I became selective what events I go to, who I'm talking to, because I've been used in the 9 years, I've been used to promote some organization or to promote somebody's show and event. Uh no, I'm
We've
yeah.
seen it. We've seen it, and that's another thing that our organization looks out for. We don't get paid. We don't do anything. We do. I mean, the most that we ask, like, it's just an accommodation, a hotel
Of
room. That's
course,
it, and that's it. And sometimes
yeah,
we don't. We get paid. I mean, the times that I've gone to DC, the times that I've gone to New York, it's
yeah.
even Florida. It's out of our pocket
Of
because
course.
we want to be there and we want to share the stories about the border and we want to hear what you are going through and what we
Yeah.
can bring in until, because a lot of people didn't know what Angel Families was here.
No,
It's
they
an
didn't
Angel
know
Family.
that. No, they didn't know what an angel mom was, or they didn't know what a sanctuary city was, or what a coyote. Somebody said, "Oh yeah, you're really telling me coyotes bringing these kids? They just grabbing them by the neck?" And I'm like, "What? What?"
What is
And
it? I saw that on Twitter. I was like, oh my God.
yes,
And then all the memes that came out, and it's like, it's just
yes, the
ridiculous.
video was so funny. But so we have to be the ones who kind of educate. I didn't
Hmm.
know. I had no clue. I was living in a sanctuary county while I was living there. I knew about illegals, and matter of fact, I knew that they were standing right across from Home Depot to get
Hmm.
picked up for day labor jobs. And that's what happened. The guy who killed Dominic was late to the pickup. There would be a white van would come every morning to pick up day laborers. He was late and he rushed into the side street, just turning off Dominic and cutting him off. Um, so I heard about illegals. Somebody told me never hire illegal aliens because if they break their leg on your property, they own your house. They own everything. So that was the biggest
That's
thing
so smart.
I heard about it. I didn't know more about it. I had
Hmm.
no clue that illegal aliens can get Medicaid, they can reduce college costs, free school, free lunches,
Hmm.
hospital, medical services. There's just a long list, and people say no, they can't. Yes, they can because they have 4 or 5 different names, different IDs. It's easy to
Hmm.
go to a swap meet. You can get for $300. You get 3 documents. There's a big scam because American businesses abuse that, and they
Yes.
hire an illegal for $5 where they would have to pay an American $10 and pay an insurance.
And it's true. Just like the illegal alien gets in trouble, I think the employer that is hiring them should
Oh,
also get in trouble.
their
And
fee
it's
should be outrageous for every illegal. I would say $10,000 for everyone
Mhm.
that's busted in their business, and then shut them down. Because, and even people that hire them should be aware. Um, you're taking that job from an American. And I remember, Myra, when we finally left California, I couldn't take it anymore driving by the spot where he was killed, where
Mhm.
people put a cross and flowers. Um, I needed a gardener for that house because I rented it out. And the guy came and he said, "Well, yeah, I charge $20 every time I come." And I said, "Okay, I have one question. Are you employing illegals?" And he said, "Well, I just got one in the car with me." I said, "You can't have this job because I want an American guy to have that job,
Mhm.
and not an illegal. I don't want you to make money off an illegal because it's like slave labor."
Yes, I've been block walking, and one man told me that he hired somebody, and this man had an illegal. He didn't know, and he would leave him, and he would do all the hard labor and pay the guy like $3 or
Yeah,
$10 for the day. And it's just that is slave work. It's like you said,
it is
it's slave work.
not
Hmm.
okay. And I don't have hate in my heart. I don't have dislike, but I don't like when people get used. And
Yeah,
that
that's the thing. They're
allows,
being used.
yeah, that allows our
Mm-hmm.
side to abuse them.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have these big fat companies that use them, and then not just for labor, but then they bus them around to appear at demonstrations. I had
Mm-hmm.
that happen in Temecula, California. And the Hispanic guy was holding up a Black Lives Matter sign, and I asked
Yeah.
him, "Why are you holding this up?" And he couldn't tell me. I said, "I just want to. If you hold the sign, I'm holding my son's picture. I hold his picture up, and I know why." So
Mm-hmm.
I kept asking him, and he finally said, "Well, I got paid $20, got some water and a sandwich, and they brought me from LA in a bus with others."
Mm-hmm.
So they're used for that. They're used for votes because they do vote. They drive in buses
And
to different
yeah,
locations.
in California they do. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely everywhere,
That's it.
pretty much. Because
Pretty much. Yeah.
how quick can you get a fake ID? And they make money with that. And then you have like some of the Catholic organizations, and you have it in
Mm-hmm.
McAllen. They
Yeah.
get
Catholic charities.
big money by
Mm-hmm.
helping illegals.
No, the
They're not.
nun is they're driving around in a Mercedes and they're nonprofit nun charity. Yeah.
So it's to bring it back to legal versus illegal. We're
Mm-hmm.
protecting people on all sides of the fence.
Yeah.
We protect
Uh,
the women over there. If you need to come over here, there's a way to apply for asylum. Well, at least it was under Trump. You apply in your country for asylum, you get vetted, you come here. But
mm-hmm.
with Biden, it's like he hates, they all, Biden or his handlers, these people, he ain't no president.
The
He's so
puppeteers.
empty anyway. But his handlers, his administration, as I call it, they hate everything Trump did so much that they don't care how many
Every
people they
person.
hurt in with what they're doing. Because when you go into your new office and on day one, you make sure illegals don't get deported, that should show every American just how much they matter during a time
Mm-hmm.
where we are on our knees, our kids are not in school,
Our businesses are shutting down.
we're struggling. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
all of that is going to, and on day one, that new president goes in there and signs an executive order. And everything in the first 14 days was all about undoing everything Donald Trump did to control our borders.
Mm-hmm.
And now you live right there. I'm sure at night you have to be very careful
Oh
wherever
yeah.
you go.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know who
Yes.
comes through, if they sick or not. I heard today from a very good source, it's not 4% have COVID, it's more like 40%. They
Mm-hmm. And
come
they're
in.
not getting tested unless they have obvious signs.
That's right. And then they get what? On a bus, on a plane.
And
But
go
pretty
upstate.
soon in
Mm-hmm.
Texas, they're going to blame all these kids that are out there having fun on spring break. They're going to blame them for being super spread.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we got to shut it all down.
Yeah.
So this illegal immigration touches all of us, whether we're Republicans, Democrats, we don't do politics. We all pay for it. I live
Mm-hmm.
rural here. People are paying for it because it's everywhere. We have illegals all over here working at Tyson chicken places
Yes,
or
they're
at
very
houses.
notorious for working at the chicken
Yeah.
plants.
And we have those
Um,
all around.
Let me read this comment from Irene. She says, "When you lose a spouse, you're called a widow or widower. When you lose a parent, you're called an orphan. But when you lose a child, there are no words."
Yes.
That is very true.
Yes. And that's where the angel mom came in. I had no idea. Um, one of Dominic's best friends, the day he died, she came racing up the street, crying so hard she could barely see. And she raced out of her car and just hugged us. And then she said, "I have something for you." And she gave me a sticker for my car. And it says, "I am an angel mom." And she had that sticker because she had lost a baby. It was a week old. She lost her baby.
Mm.
And Dominic took off from work because her husband was a firefighter out couldn't get home. Dominic took off and got in trouble at work and stayed with her for 3 days. So yeah. So that's the first time I heard Angel Mom. And then I have, and this was the sticker. The sticker looks like this, and above it said Angel Mom. So I just took that and had Dominic written in there. That's the first time I heard of Angel Mom. And then by talking with Donald Trump, and he started picking up that word, and that's how we became angel parents, angel moms, families. Yeah.
Wow.
And she's right. There's no word for us
There's no
because it's
words.
normal. It's just not
No.
normal. I
You're
lost
not
my dad.
supposed to bury your
Oh,
children.
never. I lost my mom and I was devastated 2 years ago. But there is nothing like the loss of your child. It's not natural. It shouldn't happen.
It's just.
Yeah.
Oscar says, "You're 100% right, Miss Sabine. I love all Germans."
Oh, thank you. Dankeschön.
Irene says, "Angel Mom, I've never heard of that. I love that."
Yeah. Yeah.
There
It's
was, go ahead.
no, go ahead.
No, I wanted to, because there's two things that we need to talk about. And one of them is the movie that you discussed at AmFest, AmericanForgottenMovie.com.
Yes.
Can you tell us about that movie? That way people
Yeah.
can
It's
look it up.
AmericasForgottenMovie.com. Last year in January, I got a call from a very liberal filmmaker in LA, and she asked me to be in her documentary. She wants to tell Dominic's story. So I was interested until she started talking, and she kept talking about undocumented immigrants. And I let her say the word twice, and then I told her, I said, that's an insult to me and thousands of immigrants. I'm undocumented when I leave the house without my driver license. Those are illegal aliens. It's not a racist term. It's just a word that's in the law books. That's the term for illegal aliens being here illegally. And she didn't get it at first. We talked about it. She finally understood it. And by talking with me and sharing about Dominic and all of that, it changed her. She, at the end of the documentary, when she was finished, she did not vote for Biden like she had planned. And the movie is what do I call it? A tapestry of 5 lives. You have a veteran, you have myself, you have Don Rosenberg, the president of AVIAC, our organization, who lost his son, Drew, who, matter of fact, reached out to me after he saw me on the local news. He knew it was an illegal before I knew it. And we've been friends ever since. Yep.
I've heard of him. I've never had the pleasure of meeting him.
Oh, you will. I'll make that happen. Yeah. And then there's a young lady that was trafficked from Mexico. And she thought she would go to Disneyland and eat all the good stuff and buy new clothes. And none of that happened because she had a horrific time coming over here. And then there's a little girl. The filmmaker is from India. And there was a little girl that died as they crossed the border in Arizona. Her mother brought her from India. And everybody believed, the media made it sound like they came from poverty. So Namrata, the filmmaker, the producer, went to India to interview the family and found out they were rich. She didn't have to come over here to bring her child through all of this. And her greed of wanting more. So this documentary, be ready for some intense moments. You need tissue. You will get angry, but you will learn just how much people pay from different countries to come here and how this is used and how it could be different, because it was different before. We would have guest workers that would get a fair wage. They weren't getting $3 and had to stay out in the hot sun all day. No, there used to be something like that. It changed because the greed of these companies came in, or these farmers that treat these workers horribly.
Yes.
So the movie it's a must see. Go to Amazon Prime. It's for free, and she's working on part 2. It's something else. It's an eye opener.
The second thing I wanted to ask you about, and you sent me via text, was a letter that you wrote to Joe Biden. We
Yes.
were talking about the borders, how it's changed. I was talking to a friend of mine who was a border patrol here in the Valley, and he's moved up to DC. And every time I, even by text or when I talk to him, I can sense a frustration of
Yeah.
how back they've been set back in less than 6 months. It's not even a year, and they've already seen the difference in administrations and the overflow of people coming over.
It's like triple of the numbers already, and we're only in
Mhm.
March. It's
152% increase from last year in January.
yeah, it's 100. They got 100,000. So, and that's just the ones we know about. We don't know who else, where else.
On Yeah, on
Yeah,
Monday they had 3,200 children undocumented, unaccompanied children.
yeah. Before I talk about it, I gotta let this go.
Mhm.
The other day, I watched DHS Secretary Mayorkas. I've met him. I took Dominic's big urn with me to meet him, just to shock the living crap out of him, to see what this does to a family and what the
Mhm.
consequences are. So this guy's on TV and he's talking about unaccompanied minors. And he's saying, well, these loving parents, now I'm looking around, see if I'm being pranked. These loving parents sent their children over here, and we will not be as cruel as the last administration and send these children back. We will have the parents decide whether they want to meet in their home country or want to come here. And I'm thinking, wow, this is human child trafficking. What loving parent would send their child? If I sent my child from California to New York with a stranger, I would be
CPS.
arrested. My
Mm-hmm.
child would forever be removed. All of us. We couldn't do that. But they call them loving parents and then pay for them to come here to stay with their children. So what does that tell me? They using those children as passports. It happened before. They would recycle those kids. They would come over with a fake family, then they would send the kid back, send it over again, and the parents make money with that.
Mm-hmm.
That you probably see it right now. Steam came out of my ears. I was so angry. So I heard that, and then every day I hear these excuses why they keep letting people flood this country. Now they getting abused on the way because the coyotes and the cartels telling them a whole different story. Because
Mm-hmm.
they see, well, one of my friends got through. She's in LA now. The other one is in South Carolina, whatever. They got on a bus and they took care of us. And my anxiety started to build up. I had it under control pretty much with Trump, but with Biden, it started up. And to the point where I could not move anymore. My hands would just shake, my
Oh.
blood pressure up. And I started having one of those attacks. And I said, okay, I'm going to write Biden a letter. And I just sat there writing, and it calmed me down. And I reminded him that he lost two children. He lost the daughter, and then he lost the
Mm-hmm.
son, Bo. He knows the pain. And I asked him, why are you doing that? It's a long letter. It's on Dom Hucks on my website. And I made it an open letter. We put it out on social media, fair, put it out, and I send it. I'm not holding my breath to hear anything. I might get, if I'm lucky, I get one of those form letters. Well, thank you for writing to the White House. And
We would take your concern into consideration.
but I would pay my way. I would go to DC. Somebody said, would you go to the White House to meet Biden? I said, of course I would.
Mm-hmm.
I respect the office of a president.
Mm-hmm.
Now, how I feel about him, I can't say that out loud. But there's a big old speech bubble with all kinds
I can see
of
it.
good. But I would I would want, just like with Pelosi, whose office we went to and got kicked
Yes,
out of,
I
I want
remember.
them to sit across from me and look me in the face while I tell him what I lost. That I will never be a grandmother. I will never be able to spoil grandkids. My son couldn't walk me down the aisle when I got married to my best friend. I don't get the calls. I don't hear the phone go with a little Family Guy, mom, mom, mom,
Oh.
mom. That was his ringtone for me. I don't have none of that. And I want them to see that pain, that raw pain that's 9 years later still there. But they refuse. But I would meet with him. I doubted that it would happen. But I learned to never say never, because I never thought I would be standing next to the president in the Oval Office next to his desk. So who knows? But yeah, Pelosi, she had us kicked out of her office. Kamala
I remember.
Harris, the same. Don Rosenberg and I went into Kamala Harris's office, and we had our pictures with us of our children. We're holding these up, and they had a big old poster board out front of our office saying in Spanish, "Welcome dreamers." Well, my son was a dreamer, so I'm thinking, yeah, I'm welcome. Plus, I was still living in California. She's senator for California. And they asked us, "Oh, are those all your children?" Yes, this my son, and that's true. And oh, they're beautiful. Where they at? I said, well, they did because of a dreamer, because of an illegal. And it changed real quick. The temperature dropped. They moved away from us and told us if we don't leave the office, they will call the Capitol Police, have us arrested.
You never once threatened them. You never once were rude. You never once.
I don't do that.
No, you don't. I've never heard you say a bad word or anything. So it's.
But no, they don't want to talk to us, and that's why they have such an easy time going on TV and lying about stuff, because it benefits them. It doesn't benefit any of us. And again, I'm speaking not just for Republicans. I changed from Democrat to Republican. I couldn't deal with that anymore. I've learned that with having a Black husband, Black people were represented by Donald Trump, by the Democrats. They haven't done anything. Like we sent the $2,000 check on day one. Yeah, I'm still waiting. Yeah. Documented immigrant, because it's really an insult to those of us. It took me 6 years, a lot of money, a lot of tests. I had to speak English at least a little bit, write English. I had to know some of the history. And it kind of cheapens that term immigrant, because we come here to bring something, to be a part, to assimilate, to be a part of this country, of this culture, and not to take. So yeah, illegal alien is the correct word. And I know Biden changed it for the Border Patrol and ICE agents. They can't say it anymore.
Yeah, no, they can't. I was talking to my Border Patrol friends, like, we still say it. Acronyms. But yeah, I mean, I was called, when I was a permanent resident, I was called a permanent resident alien. And it's just, it's just a name. It's just, it never bothered me. It's just,
no, and that's the weirdest part. And it's people that, the ones who jump on me are usually these pasty white skinny guys or girls, really weird, and those are the ones who call me names or death threats or nasty messages. And I told one of them, she sent me a really ugly message. I said, do you really think, after I'm still standing, losing my child, my only family here, I have no other children, you think you calling me anything and cussing me out really actually matters or affects me in any kind of way? So you could amputate both of my arms and legs, it wouldn't matter. There's nothing that compares to that other. So she finally gave up. And then sometimes I tell him to go see your mom. She called. You need to come out of the basement now and help clean up.
Irene, what is the name of the documentary again? It's AmericasForgottenMovie.com?
Yeah, America's Forgotten.
Oh, America's Forgotten.
America's Forgottenmovie.com on Prime, Amazon Prime.
Okay, America's
Forgotten movie.com. Yeah.
Okay, I had it wrong in the banner. I gave Cruz the wrong one. Sorry, guys. America's Forgotten.
We'll just blame you. Yeah,
Yeah,
AmericaForgottenMovie.com.
yeah, there we go. Okay, he'll put the banner and we'll probably put it on our page that way you guys can find it
Awesome.
easier.
And then when you come to
Hmm.
domhugs.com, what Dominic's friends at Dispatch, Dominic and I shared a household. So we shared the
Hmm.
bills. And after his death, his friends and coworkers knew that I would have to pick up the slack. And they presented me with these bracelets. It said
Oh,
.com and his name and the date 82 to 2012.
2002.
And they had these made and they sold them. And they handed me a envelope with $2,500. Said
Oh,
that's for the bills you're gonna have to pay now that you're by yourself. So these bracelets became the Dom Hugs bracelets, and I had them remade and remade. If you want one, I send it to you free of charge. I still wear the original.
yes, I have one for Chris's daughter, Krisha, and the one for the Michaels for
Yeah,
Brandon.
yes, exactly. I
Uh,
gotta send you some too. So if you
yes.
want one or two or three, let me know. Go on Dom
Hmm.
Hugs and contact me. Send me your address. I send them to you free of charge. I don't want any
Oh.
money. It's a conversation piece, and sometimes people recognize it. Um,
Hmm.
amongst people, somebody traveled on an airplane and sat next to somebody wearing the Dom Hugs bracelet, and they talked and
Oh.
found out that Dominic was a friend of theirs, and the other one knew me. So yeah. So
Yeah, I wear them. I wear them when I dress up. That they didn't let me, I had my photo shoot. They didn't let me wear them then. But even when I go to like the Lincoln Reagans, wherever I have to dress up, I wear them because I want
yeah,
people to ask me, what is the significance? Why are you wearing them?
yeah,
And I get to tell the stories.
that's right. It's a reminder, and
Hmm.
it's and then I have people, and what I do when I take pictures, we go somewhere beautiful. I take the bracelet, I put it on a rock, and I take a picture with it. He's always
Hmm.
with us no matter where we go. I have him hanging on the handlebars of my motorcycle, in my
Oh,
car, everywhere. But we go places, we take pictures hanging from a tree. We had it on the beach at the wedding with us and all that. And now
oh,
friends of his doing the same thing. They go somewhere and they leave it there. They take a picture or leave it there so somebody else can find it.
mhm.
It became a little Dom Hugs movement almost.
Yes.
To
And actually, Chris sent me some, and I've been passing them out to the Border
yes,
Patrol. I
that's
give them to the Border Patrol because you all are so thankful to
yes,
them with their work and the lives. They're our front lines, and they're the ones that are bringing in the
yeah.
front line when they come in. So
They
they
have
have something to remind them of why, one of the reasons that they're there.
just the guys and the ladies
Hmm.
and guys that work the front line for Border Patrol or ICE or customs, anything, their families. My heart goes out to their families because
Hmm.
their husbands or wives are out there, don't know what they're going to pick up if they come home safe, if they bring home COVID or anything else.
Yeah.
So I pray for the Border Patrol. I pray for their families because they're
And
going through a whole lot with,
and their schedule is just crazy. It's
yeah,
crazy, and it's they work. I mean, I know one of them works from 2 to midnight or 1 and 2 days off, but I mean, they hardly get to have a
yeah,
life, and
yeah.
it's very
I'm
hard.
friends with Hector Garza and
Oh,
um,
Hector's I've never had the pleasure of meeting him, but I would just follow him on
he-
Facebook, and he has done so much.
yeah,
He's
and
amazing.
others that I met at an event in DC that's called Feet to the Fire, where they have
Hmm.
50 radio stations, and then they have Border Patrol and ICE agents and us, and we share all of that. And
Hmm.
it's incredible what they have to endure, but
Yes.
not just that. You living there, you living on the front line. Your children are out there. You can't lock them up at home, and
No,
it's
and
not,
just so you know, I lived when the caravan started coming in. I live blocks away from the first respite center. From the first, I mean, it's blocks, walking distance, and my jogging trail was there next to it. And the people were not staying in the confined respite center. They go and they knock on doors and they ask, and at night, and this is
Yeah,
an old community, so there's a lot of older people living here because these are
yeah,
old homes.
yeah.
So it's scary to know that they were out there.
I shared that with somebody
Mhm.
the other day that said, "Oh, they're not all criminals." I said, "Okay, you gonna open your door to 20 people standing there and you don't know which one is a good one? They could all be good, but they
Mhm.
not
You
all be.
never know.
But then when they come here and they have nothing, well, where are they gonna go? They gonna steal something somewhere, rob somebody. They're like you said,
Mhm.
elderly. It's just that everybody is endangered, not just
Mhm.
them, but everybody else living around that. And it's not
Yes.
fair. It's just not fair because we cannot go to any country and do that.
No.
Mexico has the strongest and toughest immigration laws. They don't play around.
And
And
they have a
I was,
wall.
yeah,
They have a
I
wall
can't
on
go
the
to
south side.
Germany and just do as I please or any other country and then expect to get a pass, which they
Hmm.
are getting now. And the word spreads, you're not getting deported. Nobody's going to arrest you. Just give them the fake ID or don't have
Hmm.
ID at all.
Yeah,
Make up
and
a
that's what they're saying. We don't have an ID. When they cross over, we're 17. We'll prove it. We don't have an ID. They don't have
yeah,
anything. And they don't even look
yeah, already
17.
great.
Yes.
Yeah, 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 I'm 17. Yeah.
However, and it's like, they don't look 17, but we can't do anything. They don't have any documentation. Okay, 17, catch and release.
Now I'll tell you a kicker about that. The same thing, just different countries happening in Europe. They
Mm-hmm.
bring in these refugees coming on
And
boats. They
Somali.
dump
Mm-hmm.
all their passports and they come in and they move from Italy or Spain or Greece. They all want to get to Germany because Germany, they still stupid. They are the country that gives the most to refugees. This
Mm-hmm.
everything happens over there as it happens here. It's just one is called refugees, one is illegal aliens. Same thing. And the Germans, my family is over there. My niece tells me about it. They are pushed in the shadows like we
Mm-hmm. Their
pay
houses.
for what they enjoy. And the apartments over there are not as much as we can get here. They are occupied by refugees while Germans have to move in together. Elderly
Yeah,
are being pushed out of their homes that they lived in for 30, 40, 50,
their
60.
homes are being taken away. Yeah. Yeah.
Same thing. So it's not a coincidence that this is happening everywhere. I believe it's on design. I don't want to go into conspiracy theories, but something is off because
Mm-hmm.
you can open borders and let people pour in and put migrant children now into what was cages. Now it's just a whatever
Holding
different
facilities or something.
facility. That's right. And you can occupy that 100%. But your children can't go to school because we can't keep the 6 foot difference and
Mm-hmm.
da 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 da. Something is seriously wrong, and you got to ask, why are they doing this? Why is this done now when we're not even recovered 100%?
Correct.
That's what I wrote to Biden to get back to the letter. I wanted to understand. I wanted him to read that. If he does, I don't. It really don't matter. But I spoke my heart. Um, So we'll see. We'll go from there. But if I
Um,
do get a letter from him,
I
which
want to know about it.
I will know and I will share it, and maybe one of
Mhm.
his dogs will write it, or Kamala will write. Who knows?
One of the puppeteers. Irene says, I've learned a lot watching tonight. Still won't be a Trump supporter, but thank you for sharing your story and God bless you. Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Irene. Thank you for being a part of the show
I,
and for your comments. I
I
really
would love
appreciate them.
contact, and you don't have to be a Trump supporter for me to respect you and appreciate you. It's we just want somebody that cares for us a little bit more than for people that not supposed to be here. And all the I call them sob stories. There are many sad stories why people come,
Hmm.
but there's a right way to do so without endangering anybody. Our border patrol, you, myself, anybody, they
Hmm.
can come. America is a very generous country. Well,
Yes.
Biden now wants
Hmm.
to send, what did I hear today? He wants to send $4 billion because he didn't send enough before. to Guatemala, Mexico, El Salvador, and Honduras, so they can get to the root problem, and then people will not come over here anymore. And again, my head started to
They're here.
they will continue to come here. I don't care how much money you give these corrupt
No.
uh, uh,
I mean, if you're gonna have open borders, might as well keep the money here to pay for
right.
everything that they're
Well,
doing.
and 4 billion would finish our wall. That would help.
Yes.
But they think the way she talked was, okay, we're gonna give them money, and then their people will not come here anymore. No, as long as you get all these freebies here, they will come.
Yes. That 4 billion can go, I mean, either to the wall and to also to help with resources. Our Border Patrol, when I talk to Border Patrol, one of the things that they ask for is a wall. The wall's gonna, it's not gonna keep away all illegal
No,
immigration. We know that illegal aliens, they're still gonna come, but it's gonna help them concentrate on certain areas.
that's right.
Another thing is the technology. Their contract is over. They're not going to have the same technology that they had under Trump. Everything is getting, downgraded.
Right. It's just
So
ignored now.
yes, and more paying for more border patrol, more incentives for people to become border patrol, to take this job,
Yeah.
because it is a very hard and demanding job that a lot of people don't want, or they come, and now that they see that all the family units come in, they're not going to want to stay. They want to move out of the border
That's
because it's
but
hard and
could
it's
you
life
said,
threatening.
yeah, they could hire more. They could pay them a little bit more because what they
Mm-hmm.
do, it's frontline workers. They don't get a break.
Yes.
So that money could be better spent, but the way they talk to us like we're idiots. If I say to the town I'm living in, okay, I have cash money laying on my table, they all gonna come, and then I'm gonna tell them,
Mm-hmm.
no, you can't come in. They're gonna break in. As long
Yeah.
as we give away free stuff to anybody instead of our own, and that America first, I compare it to a family. You, Myra,
Mm-hmm.
take care of your family first. You cannot have your children starve, but you're going down the street to take care of those kids and feed them. No, you got to take care
Yeah.
of your own first. Then you take care of your neighborhood. You have elderly, you help them out. Then you take care of your little town, city,
Mm-hmm.
state, and then you move out. And when we all taken care of, and not walking and stepping over homeless veterans and
No.
children in need and moms that have to leave a household because they're getting beaten up, Americans, when we got all that under control, I don't mind helping anybody else. But right now, when I see the treatment in these facilities, and I want to go down to Skid Row in LA and ask these homeless people how they feel about that. What a kick in the face. They can't get
Mm-hmm.
help. They can't get any. A lot of them have mental issues. And in the film, it will show that as well. They can't get the help they need.
Nope.
But we're taking care of burglars, because if I feed and house people breaking into my home, I'm stupid. Somebody would say, what's wrong with you? Why are you giving him your car? Why are you feeding him? Why are you
If
letting him
he's
sleep in? But that's what we're doing, and we just got to get smart. And whether it's Trump, or if Biden would turn it around and just stop what he's doing. But their goal is something different and more sinister than
mm-hmm.
I think we can even comprehend, because otherwise this wouldn't happen. Because
Yeah.
every child sees that this is not a concern. It's more than a crisis. It's a
Mm-hmm.
catastrophe.
It
It's a
really is.
full-blown catastrophe that if we don't nip it in the bud, it will destroy us from within, and we won't need terrorist attacks. We won't need wars. It's all from within.
Mm-hmm.
And I
Yeah.
want your children to be able to go to a playground and play without having to worry about drugs that are now pouring in enormous amounts. Laced
Mm-hmm.
fentanyl is in almost everything, and kids are and people dropping because of that.
That, and I mean, and I see our youth, not only our youth, our children, our teenagers, high school, junior high, leaving school because of the lucrative careers that they can get with the cartel. They
Yes,
make money, and there's a lot of people from lower incomes, and
yes,
people that live in the colonias. These children see that,
Yeah.
The cartels are offering them money to get out of school and work for them. So what are they going to do? They join.
That's right. And they don't know what that's going to do in the long run, that their life really don't mean anything. It's just how much money they can bring in. And we just can't continue that. We have to bring back that you have to work for your money, and there's a right and a wrong, and there's an unlawful and a lawful way to go about it. And with this happening, we're showing that, hey, you break in, you make it through, you get money, you get this, you get housing, you can do whatever. You can. I've been to North Carolina, talked to parents whose children were raped. It's a hotbed there. We have to stop.
And did you hear also? I mean, I know that the governor was here. Our Texas governor was here. Was it yesterday? And Biden administration delayed the vaccine for Border Patrol. They delayed the Border Patrol, the vaccinations.
But some prisoners got the vaccines. That alone, whether, like I said, whether you left or right, there's something absolutely horrific about that decision. The people that are frontline, I'm not talking about teachers that are acting a fool right now with the unions. The frontline Border Patrol who have to go out there and don't know what they encounter. For them to have that delayed is horrible. Now, what I'm glad that Governor of Texas, Abbott, bringing in National Guard. But why didn't that happen when it started? Why they always wait?
Because he's getting challenged. He's getting challenged.
Yeah, and it's always that. That's why sometimes I don't like politics. It's a dirty thing, and I wish I would know what I know now. But they always look out for themselves and what makes them look better. Because if I care for my citizen in my state and I'm their governor, day one, there would be National Guard, armed guards, not a gun, no bullets standing there. This would be some serious business because I'm protecting mine. And it disappoints me and it hurts me whenever they get elected or they're running for something. That's when they come out.
Yeah, and we go to Chris Odette. He's been trying to meet with the governor, and he has not seen that meeting at all because the governor would not see anything that has illegal immigration on his illegal aliens on his desk or with the angel families. He would not meet with them. I went to go protest with Chris and Marjorie Taylor Greene at the Capitol.
Yes, I remember the pictures where you put the teddy bears on the fence.
Yes.
Yeah, he wouldn't meet with. What's wrong with somebody that wouldn't even give a grieving father 2 minutes, flipping minutes out of your whole day? It's because they don't really want to hear that. That way they can sleep better because it's not in here and they don't have to remember that face with the tears. And Chris Odette's story is horrific. He lost his only child. When I heard his story, I reached out to him and it broke my heart. And I thought Dominic's killer spending 35 days in jail was short. Chris Odette's daughter's killer spent 34 minutes in a police station. And he's still walking around.
And got the truck back. The same vehicle that killed his daughter, he got it back.
So these stories, there are thousands of them out there. And sadly, a lot of my fellow angel moms, after a while, we have some that have mental issues, health issues. Some say, okay, I'm going to have to take pills. I refuse to take either alcohol. I have a drink here and there, but I'm not going to numb myself with alcohol or pills that were offered to me just to numb the pain. But there are many who can't work anymore, who have PTSD. I still have it every time I'm on my motorcycle and a car turns in front of me. If it's a mile away, I freeze up and goosebumps. It's just reliving my son's last moments. So there are thousands of us like that out there. Many don't want to speak about it. Many can't. I've met too many. And when we hug, it's that unspoken bond. But we don't have 4 years with this mess going on. We got to keep speaking about it. People ask me, well, what can I do? I said, well, speak about it, share about it on Facebook. Stop being afraid of somebody calling you a racist. Call your local politicians. Find out if you're a sanctuary city. Call your congressmen, your senators. Make sure they know where you stand about illegal immigration. You don't have to be a speaker just to call, and you get the number there. You can find it online. Call and say, listen, I'm against illegal immigration. We need to protect our citizens. And that's all. It takes 2 minutes, but we can't sit home and just read this stuff and feel bad and say a prayer and then wait that somebody else is doing something. That's how we're going to lose more. And I'm just tired of meeting angel mom. I don't want to meet no more. I don't want to get that email or that call or the message
to reach somebody.
Yeah.
Well, we're an hour and a half into the interview. I thank you so much, Sabine. Thank you so much for allowing, your story to be heard and for being here. And please share the video. Anybody out there, like and share the video so other people can listen to the story and know what an angel family is, the pain that they go through, and the help that they need in getting their stories out. The 3 websites to keep in mind are aviac.com.
It's aviac.us.
Oh, I'm sorry. aviac.us. Oh my gosh, I've been giving Cruz all the wrong information. And I have it in front of me on my bulletin board. I have a whole bunch of pictures there.
Aviac. The Advocates for Victims of Illegal Alien Crime.us.
.us. And that's what I was looking for, because I had a card here and I was looking for it. It's right here.
That's all right.
It is.
I'm just going to work you over when I see you in person. That's
aviac.us. And then we have domhugs.com.
And we have
America's Forgotten Movie.com.
and that AmericasForgottenMovie.com. And then you find me on Facebook. You find me on Twitter, Sabine Durden Coulter. And please contact me. Any question I answer from my heart, honestly. And Myra, thank you.
No, thank you.
Thank you for giving so many of us the time, not just 2 minutes, but really time to express our feelings, to share, because it affects all of us different. And for being such a strong voice. And all of you out there, stay safe, be healthy, and let's not let this take over and leave a better future. That's Dominic lived life without regrets. He enjoyed his 30 years to the fullest. He lived like some people don't do in 100 years. I want your children and grandchildren to experience that and live a full life and full of joy and not fear. So we have to work a little harder that the next generations can enjoy and look back and say, look at this. I want Dominic, when I meet him in heaven, to give me that big old hug. And like he always gave me the biggest hugs, the tightest hugs. He was a big guy. I want him to tell me, Mom, I'm so proud of you.
I'm sure he is. I look at his pictures and he has a beautiful smile. He has he's that kind of very heartwarming to see him.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Myra. I appreciate you so much.
But we're going to say bye, and remember to like and share our page, especially this show, please. We're going to have more shows coming up. Don't leave the show. We're going to end the show, but just stay a little bit just so I can talk to you a little bit after the show. Nothing much that we said here, so you guys are not missing anything. I just want to talk to her on something else. But thank you so much, guys, for joining us. I love you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for joining us, Sabine, and we'll see you soon.
Dom hugs.